What's up, movers? It's Lacey, and welcome to Move with Intention. Today's podcast is really special if you're looking to raise your perspective, get connected, and pulled into some inspiration. Then you're going to want to tune into this episode. I'm here to share a very special conversation today with someone that I look up to. His name is Henry. He's a coach and creator of the Positive Mindset podcast. Henry, do you want to give us a little bit of background about what that looks like and what that means to you?
Yeah, Lacey, thank you so much for having me on and getting to talk to you and get to meet with you. I really appreciate it. And in a nutshell, the positive mindset is really the perspective in which you perceive the world. So many people come to it thinking that it's about being happy or creating happiness. And although that is a side effect of a positive mindset, it's really about just raising your perspective so that you can see beyond self, see the good when you need to, see past the difficulties when you need to, and really have control of your internal state. So that's what the podcast is about. That's what my coaching's about. That's what I'm about, is really just separating that self so that you can feel on the inside as you desire and then experience the world with that energy within you.
Awesome. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about your vision and kind of how you got started and where you are now and what you see for yourself in the future. But before we dive into the episode, there's a couple of things that I usually like to do. The first one is gratitude. So we'll think of 3 things or people, scenarios, energy, opportunities that we're grateful for, whether it's in the present moment now, in the past, or in the future. And then a statement that you feel will empower you for the day. So
Okay. Yeah.
want to go ahead, take a second and think of those things. And I'll start with mine. I would say my 3 things today is the ability to be able to create meaningful conversations. Because I feel like creating meaningful conversations, it drives your energy and it like puts you into alignment with the person that you're wanting to be. And it's about who we want to be here. And the second thing is working in a field that builds and connects perspective with movement, which is like my passion. My passion is movement. And so it's really cool getting to have these kinds of conversations that connect the 2 of those things together. And then I think this is a recent realization, but the third one would be knowing that reflection within is connection and an opportunity to be intentional with anything that I do moving forward.
So those are amazing. I could probably borrow those 3 and that would be great. And listening to what you said, I think for one, just for today, thankful for this conversation. It's always so powerful when you can connect with people in different areas that are in the same vibrational or same chase of a certain state. So definitely appreciate of you and you setting this up. And number 2 is that, for me personally, and probably a lot of people that might read or listen to this, that life is hard. And the gratitude in that is knowing that since it is hard and not easy, that I am choosing myself every day to be the version of myself that I want to be. And it's not just a default or something, like it's actually earned. So a lot of gratitude in the fact that I know I make that choice every day to be this version of me, and that it's not just a given. And then the third, I think, which is probably the most simple one, it's just that we're even able to know that we can be thankful for things. So like I'm just the third one is thankful for that these 3 things exist, that you can think, hey, let's say what we're thankful for and connect with the feeling of it to get that charge within you. So that'd probably be the third.
It's such an energy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. And then I think the statement that I would choose is I'm practicing a lot of vulnerability lately, which is not always the easiest thing to do, whether it's a conversation or a situation. And so knowing that vulnerability is love helps me make decisions that always come from like a state of love, no matter what the situation at hand is.
Yeah. That's a good one. You made me go second on purpose because you knew you were going to give good ones. Something that I've been really building within myself is the statement I am. And so that's really putting a focus on not desiring anything, not chasing anything, not, going to become something, but really embracing the fact of I am and acting as if. So if you want whatever to feel good, to be happy, to be rich, whatever it is, that really just turning that into I am as if you are that now, you're the energy of that now. So I am is certainly the statement for me currently.
Powerful. That's a good one. I like that one. Okay. And then I'm just going to jump into some questions. But before we get started, I would love to know a little bit about what you believe is your purpose or your calling. And I know we chatted about this before, and those are 2 distinct words. So what do they mean for you?
So the purpose and calling, I think putting it together, if you listen to my podcast, I usually close out with, be the rising tide that lifts all ships. And I think what that means to me and what I'm here to be a part of. So not necessarily to do, because I think we're all here to do it, but to be a part of is that, meaning the higher I can increase myself, whether you think that's as an individual or energetically, and then give that, the higher everyone else will go. And so to try to pour into myself as much as I can and then pour more of that out to the world, I would say is the calling. And then the purpose is just to do that indefinitely, right? To just always be that rising tide as much as I can.
It's like a cup. You have your cup and it's already full. So then you're just kind of overflowing and you're never giving from. And
Yes. And I like that you brought up the cup portion because I think of the cup in two stages. And maybe this will be something later, but I think the cup is the image you need to have when you're empty. A lot of people that are hurt, that are lost, that are trying to find their way, they need to imagine the cup that they need to fill out. And then once you go past that, it's no longer a cup, and you think of almost like a hose or a straw that flows out of you. So it's that constant flow. So you no longer need to fill, you're in flow. So that's kind of like the switch, but I like the cup analogy because it
I
leads to
like
like
that.
the next thing.
I've never heard of that before, but I like that, like the hose,
Yeah,
because it just kind of flows, flows through, just like
that's
water.
flow state.
That's
Yeah,
all.
because once you set that, we'll get into it. We can talk about that
I
later
like
if we
that
need
a
to.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to come back to that. Remind me because I really like that a lot, actually. I've heard that before, never. And the second one would be, what is your vision and or your intention? I usually say intention, but we can also use the word vision or whatever you want to call it. And how did you get started with it?
So I think overall vision is a little bit of what we talked about there as being the rising tide. But if you were to make it a physical manifestation of what that means on Earth, one of my main goals is to create physical locations where people can go. So obviously I do that with the podcast and in coaching, but I would like to create a gym is kind of what you'd call it, but more than that, have more amenities, but a place you go where you're uplifted everywhere. And the idea would be to put it in communities so that they become staples of communities to make the communities better. Because all the people that go there, whether they're doctors, lawyers, real estate agents, or whatever, they're going to a place that uplifts them, heals them, because the earth or life is hard. You have bad work environments, bad home environments, bad friendships, like all of these things where there could be one consistent solid where when I go to this place, which I won't give the name out yet, but when I go to this place, like it's okay. Whether you're going to work out, whether you're going there for mental, whether you're going there for relaxation, whatever, there's always a place you go where the energy's so high that you're just uplifted. And you can carry that to the next time. And so that's the physical creation that should come.
Right. It's like having like an outlet where some people can
Yes.
go, and that's really powerful. And would that be something that would be expansive one day and go international, do you
Yeah,
think?
the goal would be, of course, to build the model, and then I love entrepreneurship. I love when people have some people want to be employees and some people want to be entrepreneurs, and so I'd like to hit both. So create the model, franchise it to whoever is in that realm of whether they're a personal trainer or a wellness practitioner or something where it's like, ooh, this is the model that I want that gives the structure so I can just be me at the highest level, but this gives me like the business structure to make it to where it's a successful business so I can one myself have a good living as someone else help people, but then also the people that I hire that have good livings and like create that opportunity for like to expand it that way. So that would be the goal and for it to go everywhere.
Full team. You'd have like a
Yeah.
full team and it'd be like the most elevated thing. That would be so
That's
well,
the
if you
goal.
want to go international, you just give me a call because I'm in
Oh
shape
well.
up here.
Oh well.
That would be so cool. What is a valuable lesson that you've learned along your journey thus far? I'm sure there's been a lot of them, but is there any that stick out to you that's been more valuable than others?
I think there's plenty. Yes, plenty. But one that when people accept this, it's the most freeing and it's the hardest, I think, to accept that everything's a choice. And
Yeah.
no matter what truth there is, the choice is how you feel about it. And when people, it's so easy and it's sometimes simpler to look at what's causing something and then not blame yourself for making a choice to dive in. So knowing that it's a choice to feel how you want to feel, like you can be right and feel the way you want to feel, or you can make a choice to align your energy with something else and feel a different way. So probably the most profound thing is that everyone is making a choice every single day, maybe conscious, maybe subconscious, but they're making a choice to experience life as they do every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that one's the hard one.
That is a good one. There's like definitely a separation between being conscious of whether you're making those choices or not. It like puts you in the two different phases. The programming in Las Vegas that I'm doing names it creation and survival. And I think
Yes.
those two different levels of being aware and being like, okay, the world's happening to me, or like I can make choices and have an impact on the world.
Yeah. You can believe that it happens to you or for you. You're right either way.
Yeah. That's good. I always choose to say that it's happening for me. No matter
Yeah.
what, the situation can always be a teacher in the future. It can be some source of wisdom in the future. And I think, like you mentioned in the beginning, gratitude, you can always use it as gratitude,
Mhm.
even if it's a hard situation to go through.
So the person that says it happens for them is the observer of their experience. So they're higher, right? The person that thinks things happen to them, they're not observing their experience. They're actually in their experience, not realizing that they are something more. So just by saying it all happens to you puts you in a position of power, meaning nothing can actually affect you because your energy just is here experiencing it and then continues on. So yeah, I love that.
With the finger, it's like pointing the finger outward or pointing the
Gives
finger.
the power.
It's
Yep.
that where the power goes. Yeah, absolutely. That's really good. What has gotten you to push through any of your rough patches or anything that's been difficult? What's kind of gotten you to overcome those obstacles?
It's probably been different things at different times for sure. I would say what would help me now, which would be this would be the perspective I'd want to give, because each thing that's helped me prior was based on my perspective at the time. And this one's hard, probably hard for everyone, for certain people, but that none of it actually matters. And whatever happens to me is irrelevant. And then I'm just the observer of it. So if something awful happens, and I get this because of some of the terrible things that are going on the earth, like people ask, how can you be positive when like there's terrible things happen? And unfortunately, even if those terrible things were happening to you, it doesn't matter because the earth just continues. And so we just happen to think that we're more valuable than something else on the planet when we're not. We all come from the dirt, we go back to the dirt. And so getting to the point of perspective where you no longer, it's not that you don't care whether you live or die, but you know that you're neither of those things and that you're existing always. And that, it's just that experience might change from time to time has been the most freeing and ego separating
That's
perspectives that I can have, because you'll be sad, even with the most positive mindset in the world. There'll be things that are really hard that make you sad, that make you cry, that make you hurt. But as long as you can go back to realizing, like, I'm just experiencing this, I'm not this, it can free you from it so that you can at least have inner peace while you're upset, which is a big difference. Like being upset without inner peace is terrible, because being happy without inner peace is terrible. It's the fake smile, right? It's the laughing and crying on the inside. So
it.
that would be the one, is just really knowing that it doesn't actually matter what happens to me because I'm not any more important than anything else, and I'm just observing it. And
Right.
that's it.
I think a lot of times, like you hit the nail on the head, it's the ego. The ego like takes over and tells you like, no, like this and that, and I have to make sure that I'm right or that I look good, whatever I'm doing, or situations going on in the world. But there's that separation.
Yeah. If you want to control somebody, just pump up their ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Social media can be such a enabler of that, or if you
yeah.
change perspective on it, it can be just like a great platform to meet people and connect and educate. But it can be, I would say, both of
Yeah,
those.
it's as everything else, it's just faster. There's less buffer
Right.
online than in real life.
It's just so easy to type something out and just like click
Mhm.
send versus like being face to face with someone. And would you actually want to say that?
The that's the example as to why this life is such a blessing, because it takes longer to manifest in the real world. If you could manifest as fast as you can online in the physical world, we would all have a bad time because we all have negative thoughts from time to time. We all think bad things from time to time. And if it manifested the instant you thought it, like we hope that our positive things do, it would be a very violent and chaotic experience here.
Totally different world that we were living
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Do you have any go-to success habits or things that are part of your daily routine that you think have aided in your progression?
Yeah, well, yeah. So it's constantly just tapping into the mindset. So because I do my podcast 7 days a week, that's 7 lessons a week that I go through for myself. So I'm constantly going through a perspective shift over and over and over again. And so that puts me in a place. So it's like you raise the bar and then it's kind of downhill from there. But if you can keep raising it high, then the decline, even though it might be the same each time, you're higher and higher and higher as you continue to go. And so I'd say the most successful thing is the fact that I've committed to the universe that I will always do that. Whether I do the podcast forever is debatable, but for now, it's every single day I'm doing it. And so I have to, I can't not change. I can't not grow
Right.
from
It's
that.
like positive reinforcement, or at least, it's putting you in that energy reinforced over and
Yeah,
over
it's the
again.
pattern. If you walk in the sand and you keep walking the same path, you're going to really ingrain that path. And
Yeah.
so it's the same with thoughts. The more of a certain thought you run in your head over and over, the more it's going to ingrain. That's where like depression is so hard because it brings negative ego-centered thoughts into you where you're the one hurting, so it makes it about you, and then they're negative thoughts, and it just happens again and again and again so fast that drives a really big rut. So it's so easy to fall back into that track. So it's like the opposite version of that.
Like neuroeducation here. I'm like such a nerd about that kind of stuff. I love it.
Yes, that's what there's the science behind it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they have an example of like the forest. Like you walk the same path in the forest over and over and over again. And like there's another way, but it's not really, there's no foot tracks. You have to like go and make your own. Of course, it's going to be easier to choose what's already paved.
Mhm.
But sometimes going down the other route will give you so much more in the long run.
That's actually like with my coaching, why the length of coaching is the length that it is. Because with that example where you just explained, I see this happen a lot, especially with coming from fitness. I saw a lot with diets and done it myself, so lived it as well. But so you have that path that you've been walking forever, right? Whether it's the bad eating or the poor mindset, whatever it is, you walk that forever and it gets so clear. So it's easy to do. And then you're like, oh, I want to change. And so someone's like, well, you have to go this path. So you start trying to go the other path and you start clearing it, right? You start spending more time, you're clearing it. But one day you're like, I'm just going to take the easy path one day. And you take the easy path one day, even though you've been doing the other one for so long, the easy path hasn't really grown over yet. It's still good because you spent so much time on it before that
Right.
it actually feels better to do the old way, even though it's not good for you, than the new way that actually is good for you because that one's still cleared. And that's what people get sucked back into, that thought. So like with someone with a negative outlook normally, whether they've been dealing with depression or whatever it is, when they start thinking positive, it almost hurts to think positive because they're clearing that path, and it's like forced and so much work and exhausting to think positive. You're clearing a path every time, and then that one time you let those negative thoughts run, it's like so much easier, and you almost feel happy in that place,
That habit
and you
comes
get stuck in it, and the other side seals back shut because you didn't spend as much time in it, and so it went away. So that's yeah, something that's a big thing.
Have you seen, because I feel like I've seen this also coming from the fitness industry and like people's workout schedules and their diet and what they're eating. And I've also felt like I've been in and out of that back and forth. But what have you seen kind of helps people dial back into the harder path, the one that they're newly trying to clear? Is there anything that seems to help?
There's extremes, right? When someone might have like a heart attack or something like really extreme, where they make like a radically different thing. And that's not something that you want to build a business around. And that's not, a path you want to recommend, saying, hey, wait till it's so bad you almost die, then you'll do it. Because sometimes you don't get that chance. But ultimately, it goes back to the choice. I found when you can really help people understand that it's a choice, it's not a fair choice. It's not an equal choice. There's no equality in the choice because everyone's life's different. Everyone's background's different. Everyone's circumstances are different. So it can't be an equal choice. The choice for me can't be equal to you, but it's still a choice.
Right.
And so when you tell someone like, it doesn't matter how hard the choice is, you just have to know that you're choosing not to do it. And if that's where you're going to be, that's okay. But that you meaning you are creating you. You just have to be aware of that. So that seems to help because then they know it. And then two, support systems. Support systems are the biggest thing because you input energy from different ways. The most powerful one is yourself when you put the thoughts in your mind and
Right.
you view them. They're not your thoughts. The second is external, right? Whether that's music, movies, people. And so any one of those that you can change out from old ones that resonated to new ones will support you. So that helps a ton. That's why like joining a gym is really good, or hiring a personal trainer is really good, or those things. As long as they are good at what they do, they can be that thing that kind of keeps you there. And then never commit to a goal, commit to a process. That would be the last piece I would say on that. Like if someone's goal is to lose 20 pounds, as soon as they lose it, they're going to go back to their old ways because they didn't want to be a fitness person. They didn't want to eat a certain way. They just did it to receive. And then and so they're miserable the whole time. They get what they want, and then they go back to the old habits. Versus if you ask, and this is what I do in my coaching, it's like we create like the perfect day. So that way I understand, who do you actually want to be? What does that day look like? Okay, well, these are the habits of that person. These are the routines of that person. These are the words that person would use. And so you have to start adding those now. And so it's like, you're not going for that. You're trying to build the day that you like and the system that you like. And so that's usually what I go to, because everyone wants the result, but nobody wants the process.
Exactly. And it's a lot of, not everything, but a lot of times it's always ongoing. It's not when you get to that destination, then it's over and you can just sit there and enjoy it for forever. It's like ongoing consistency that usually isn't easy. It's not easy. It's not always the easiest choice. But for me, when it came to like eating, it was not like I'm going on a diet. It's like I'm gonna eat in alignment. And that comes back to like, who do I want to be? I want to be healthy. And so that like mentality of like, this is an ongoing process, like that I'm going to have to be committed to doing day in, day out, not just when I arrive at the 20 pounds or speaking fitness wise, but that's really good. That's
Yeah.
absolutely
And
good.
if you only chase the result, you're only happy once you get it.
Exactly. And then you miss the
Right.
whole journey. You miss the whole
Yeah.
journey because you just think about the destination.
Versus if you just do the steps that that version of you would do every day is a win, because you lived as that person.
Exactly. Like the small things that you incorporate into your daily routine that like make the biggest difference in the long run. They create the consistency.
That person will always win. The person that loves the walk will always go further than the person that hates to run, who's trying to run.
That's good. I like that. I've never heard
Yeah.
that. That's really good. Do you have anyone that you look up to that or that inspires you? It can be like within the field that you're working in or just in general.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot. But I would say, I think for my mom would probably be one that is inspiring, because I've seen her create a lot and go through hard times and always make sure like we felt the positive energy and stuff like that. So she's certainly one. I would say professionally in the space, Tony Robbins is obviously, I think, one of the biggest ones that you go to, just because he's so good. I like Jim Rome was pretty good. There's a lot. It's hard to say like a specific one, but I think all of them, and probably ones that I can't think of right now, but like the ones that don't do it professionally, that's like just who they are. I really, you know, like those people. David Goggins would be one that I really like. Because he doesn't sell any courses. He doesn't do, and granted, I do these things, so I don't know, but he just is that person, right? He didn't do it to create a bit, like, authenticity with him is legitimate. He didn't think, oh, I can make money teaching people how to do this. Like, he just became it and then created this life for himself. And so I do like people like that are just it regardless. Like, that there's no financial incentive like that. They're just it regardless.
He just like had that come up, like he overcame obstacle and then just decided to share it with the world and it became so powerful. His message is
Yeah.
so powerful.
So yeah, like them. So that he's probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like him too. And we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, but your intention moving forward, do you have any like, I know we talked about goals and stuff, but like things that you are hoping to do within like the end of the year, next year, things that you would like to accomplish?
So I just had a birthday, so I just reset all these things just a couple days ago. So very much in alignment with that. And of course, there's the professional goals, financial goals, personal goals, but one that's maybe even uh non-tangible thing. And this might resonate with some people, maybe it won't make any sense at all. But by next year, I would like to be the type of person that glows. And what I mean by that is that I'm so tapped into the energies and the version of myself that I want to be, that it literally glows from me. Like, not just me speaking at you here, but just my presence resonates in it. And we all do that. We all resonate our energy, but this is resonating a specific energy they want. Because you've been in a room where someone comes in and it like kills the mood,
Right.
right? Like, oh, that person, and you just feel the coldness, or the flip side of that, right? Where someone comes in and like everything lightens up and it's happy. So being intentional with that, where it's just this person that when you're around them, perspective is lifted, right? Like, it's easy to see beyond self. And so really glow that. I think that would be the biggest win of all, beyond any kind of financial goal or anything like that. Because all those will happen with that. Yeah.
It's like an aura, right? Like someone
Yeah.
has an aura about them. Yeah, I was trying to think
Yeah.
of the because in Spanish it's onda. Like you have this onda about you,
Okay.
like radiates. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
really beautiful because then you don't have to say a word. People can just feel it coming from you, and that's like, I guess, an even more elevated flow state than
Yeah. It goes back to I am, right? That's the I am of that.
exactly. And then my last question would be, what is something that keeps you awake at night? Something that you like always
Besides my kids. Yeah.
besides that,
That's
or
okay.
them
Yeah.
too.
To be honest, when I can sleep, I'm a pretty good sleeper. So I don't know if there's anything that necessarily keeps me up at night. I think it's more, if anything, it's just more reflection. Like the more that I get into a reflective state, the more I reflect on, and it's like an infinite depth of reflection on myself, on things I could do differently, on things, on opportunities, and then other people. So that's actually probably what I get stuck on more is the people that I work with and they're like clients and stuff. I get like intrigued and like doing this whole thing. So I might lay down and think about, where they're at, their process, and like the struggles that they're facing and feeling the weight of what they're facing. Because even though, my life's certainly not perfect and there's things that would probably stress a lot of people out, I'm not stressed for me because of the belief system, but I feel other people's. And so, trying to understand from their perspective, because one of the hardest things is having perspective and seeing someone struggle, knowing the perspective they need to see, but not being able to get them there to see it.
Yeah,
It's like if someone's in the water and there's like a shark coming at them, you see the shark and you're trying to tell them, but they just keep swimming and they can't hear you,
yeah.
and like it's like that kind of feeling. So I'd say if that was it, is like knowing like not everybody I'm able to help. And so that's tough.
Just accepting that that's what it is, and
Yeah.
maybe in the future they would, but like they have maybe just a certain lens on at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the idea is that, the goal is to be water, not to force people to drink you.
Yeah, being more like a guide, just being
Yeah.
some.
The water's there if
Yeah,
someone wants to drink it. But if you force people to drink it, then that takes away free will. And if God doesn't force us to be good and gave us the ability to be evil, then certainly I am no one to judge whether someone takes a path or not.
you want to take away from anyone's experience, I would say either, right? Because
Correct. Because who am I to say I know what's better?
exactly, yeah. I feel like that's powerful though, because then there's that energy exchange and that gives them the power to choose. And I'm sure that's hard not being able to help everyone, but having like you
No.
come from a place of empathy. I can feel that like love and empathy in every conversation and situation, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you received very well.
Yeah. Well, hopefully for most people. But yeah, so I'd say that'd be the one thing.
I would say so. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a great chat. It's definitely felt empowering for me. And I think people will definitely have taken something away from this. And if anyone wants to leave a comment on this or screenshot it and shout us out, we'd love to connect with other people. And this has just been so much fun. And thank you so much, Henry, for your time. And I appreciate you being here with me.
Thank you for your time. This has been great. I enjoyed connecting with you earlier and then even now. So I appreciate everybody that listened and watched all the way through this. And you can find me on the Positive Mindset Podcast. Feel free to check that out. Or go on Instagram, The Real Henry G. You'll see it there too. So good energy to everybody, and I appreciate it.
I'll be posting everything down like in the bio, all the links and all of the good juicy details. My slogan is keep moving with intention, and the intention is to raise that perspective and keep making meaningful connections all around the world. We're international over here.
Love it. Love it.